Ali, tell us your experience. I know you started off in the financial sector, your experience of how money affected you setting up a business.
Well, to start with, to illustrate my point, could everybody just write down these three initials on a bit of paper? B for Bertie, A for Ali, B for Bertie. Now, it's an acronym. Your first two letters stand for Banks R. Now, if you can work out what the third letter might be, in my opinion, it's bastards. Simple as that. It's no news. You know, it's probably not big news these days. I started my business about 11 years ago. And actually, I think it was with about £20,000 that my mother loaned to me. I'm not entirely sure that I've ever paid her back, but hey, that's what parents are for. You know, it's my turn now. I've got kids of my own. And it was cruising along quite nicely, good demand for activity holidays. And we applied for a small loans guarantee fund or something from the government. And we were granted or loaned £80,000. And this £80,000 hit our bank account on September the 10th, 2001. Now, anybody know what happened the next day? So 2 planes hit the World Trade Center. And not a great time to try and build a travel business. For about 2 years, people were reluctant to fly. They even thought Al-Qaeda would, you know, target the Newcastle to Malaga 5 o'clock departure in the morning. It was highly unlikely, but people were very apprehensive about flying. And basically, I fought through, and it was obvious the business was going to go bust, but I got all our clients who'd booked with us, I got them away, I did the decent thing, I accumulated a massive amount of debt myself, credit cards a lot, and eventually I took the company, I wound it up. And I sat down for about a nanosecond and considered the possibility of perhaps getting another job. I mean, the reason I'd started the first business was I can't work for anybody else. And basically, I'm unemployable. And this is the beauty of being your own boss. You're not answerable to anybody apart from yourself. You live, you make your own decisions. You live or die by them. You're in charge of your own destiny. It is a fantastic way to live your life. Sleepless nights, but it's a great way to live your life. So as I say, I thought for about a nanosecond about getting a job. I was offered some lecturing positions. I thought, no, got to try again. And then I went to try and raise some money. Now, here you are with a travel industry, travel business, proposal. You've got a business that's failed. And I tell you what, the attitude of banks in this country, I went around every single bank in Newcastle with a really good business proposal. I knew I could make it work. I'd learned from my mistakes, and that's something anybody setting up a business has to do. You have to learn from your mistakes. If you don't do that, you will fail. Simple as that. I went to every single bank, and every single one of them basically said no. They weren't interested. So I went to various equity houses or dragons or whatever you want to call them, investment organizations, not interested. And finally, I went to my accountant, and he still had a lot of faith in me, and he had a lot of faith in my ability. And he put some money in, and he got 2 other friends of his, and they put some money in. And basically, I let 40% of my business go for £40,000. This year we'll turn over 5 million quid. So, I mean, you know, those investors have done pretty well. But I've got 60% of that £5 million turnover business. They've got 40% of it. If I hadn't had that money, I wouldn't have any of that. So if you're looking to raise the finance, don't forget that banks are bastards. They're not your friends. It's interesting because once the business got going and we started generating really good turnover, and the beauty of my business is we don't have cash flow problems. My clients, if they want to go on their holiday, they pay us 9 weeks before they travel. And we pay our suppliers 4 or 8 or 12 weeks afterwards. So we get all these fantastic cash flows over the summer. We have sort of £1 million balances in the bank. And when the banks got wind of this, they suddenly wanted our business. Knock, knock, knock on the door. And I played off the NatWest against Barclays. NatWest said, we'll give you 4.1% on your balances. So I went back to Barclays. Well, we'll give you 4.2. And I got an extra, I think it was 0.6% out of Barclays before eventually going to them. And so sod them. They just wanted to make money out of you if you get to that lovely position. And it's a wonderful position to be in. But if you do have trouble getting the money and you want to do something, I've made my business my hobby. My business is my hobby. I love what I do. I make enough money to be very, very comfortable, and it's become almost a social enterprise in some respects now, because I'm not hugely materialistic. But if you want to live that dream, and if you want to get out there and not have to go to work every morning and listen to some boss telling you what to do, you'll go to every single source you can, whether it's family and friends, whether it's the banks, whether it's investors, you will find that money. And it's just determination and the never say die attitude. Go out there and find it. That's all I want to say. I was in a similar position to a lot of people who are here today, 10, 11 years ago now, seeking inspiration, seeking an idea, that I'd actually just told my boss where to stick his job and found myself strangely unemployed. And I actually sat down with a bit of paper and just wrote down what do I want to do with the rest of my life, and it was travel and adventure sports. And I think a lot of people are coming here just looking for an idea, and one of the things that really strikes me is that people seem to think they have to find a unique idea. And I don't think that's right. I think you look for something that people aren't doing particularly well and try and improve on it. And I think that's one of the messages that we're trying to get over today. And just to inspire people to get out there. This region has a dreadful entrepreneurial startup record, and we're improving that through the likes of the Entrepreneurs Forum. I think it's a great setup at the forum. The plan is for me to talk about sort of finance and raising finance. And I mean, my experience, and I think the story I'm going to tell, is that even if it's desperate, just keep going, keep going, keep going. My first business failed, and after that, the attitude in this country is just dreadful. If you have a failed business, the banks don't want to know. Whereas in America, if you have a failed business, they'll welcome you with opening arms because you felt that feeling in the gut of your stomach that's failure, and you don't ever want to fail again. And I want to get that message across, that even if you fail, or if you can't find the money here, keep knocking on doors, keep talking to everybody you know, because eventually you'll get there. It cost me a lot. It cost me a large proportion of my company just to raise £40,000 10 years ago. And we're going to turn over nearly 5 million this year. So those guys who got in for 40% for 40,000 quid, they've done all right. But if I hadn't got that money from them, I wouldn't have 60% of the £5 million turnover company. And you just have to be realistic. Sometimes you've got to take a chance, and sometimes you've got to take what's given to you.
What's your view on balance? Do you feel as though you did the wrong thing, that 40%, or what's your view about giving away the company for?
I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't given away that 40%. It was my last option, and it was an expensive option, you know. And those investors are sitting very comfortably. I kept 60% though, so I kept control. You know, I see people on the Dragon's Den giving away 50%, and that cuts me to the quick. But as I say now, and the business isn't so much about maximizing profitability. We try to be so to a certain extent, while still being a commercial enterprise, a social enterprise. And my investors don't particularly like that, but my 60% does.